and to a protest today at Parliament House against this green energy crusade that has already had so many Australians protesting against this wrecking of our landscape. So much of our magnificent countryside is being turned into wind factories, industrial zones really. Even the views off the most beautiful parts of our coast, like near Wilson's Prom, can you believe it, to be ruined by planned wind factories out in the distance. Now, under Labor's plans, federal Labor, we're going to get 9 times more wind farms than we already have, and many more solar farms, and 10,000 kilometres of transmission wires to hook them all up, roaming like triffids over the countryside. Well, this morning, hundreds of protesters rallied in Canberra to say enough.
As a sixth-generation farmer, I don't care what they think of me in here. That's their business. I couldn't care less. I'm here today to fight for the next generation.
I was joined earlier by a farmer at that protest, Kevin Tung from Loomera in New South Wales. Kevin Tung, thank you so much for joining me. Why are you at this protest?
Andrew, we are very concerned about the rollout of these renewables to produce electricity for the eastern residents of New South Wales, Queensland and Victoria, and it is all going on prime agricultural land. Prime agricultural land is there to produce food and fibre for our nation and for, exporting to overseas countries. So the more land we take out of primary production, the worse off we are going to be as a country.
This is actually quite personal for you though, isn't it? I mean, you've got a massive solar farm and big transmission wires to hook it up coming right near your doorstep.
It is. It is right next door to us. There is a solar factory being in production, in the near future of 900 hectares, which is 850,000 solar panels, which equates to about 20,000 SCGs. So it's an enormous piece of land out of our primary production categories that produce food and fibre. And on the other end of Loomera, we have got the transmission lines coming from the New England res, which is Armidale, Walker, Bendemeer, down to Liddell, running through 5 or 6 properties at the end of Loomera and through Dungowan and Dengelmar. So a real concern in all aspects as to the way we are going with this renewable energy construction.
I just want to remind people that for every wind and solar farm you're seeing now under Labor's plans, we're going to get 9 more. What's your issue with all this? I mean, for me, just driving through the landscape, it just really offends me to see these damn things that are very inefficient and expensive ways of making electricity, but they're eyesores. They're just, I don't want to see this in the countryside. What's your problem with them?
Exactly as you have said, they're an eyesore. As we were coming down here from Tamworth to Canberra, there was the big one at Wellington. You see nothing but black glass on good agricultural land. So, it is very concerning. And the cost of it, the cost of it to our grandchildren. Our grandchildren are going to pay for this for years to come. And that really concerns me, that I've got 11 grandkids. There's quite a few of them are interested in agriculture, coming back onto the farm. And we've got to look after them, but we will be paying for this for years to come. And the transmission lines, you cannot do a lot of farming underneath them. They're an eyesore. And the problem with aerial agriculture today is that our seeders, our crop dusters, our sprayers will not fly near transmission lines.
But, Kevin, we're told, of course, though, that green energy is good for the planet. Do you agree with that?
It is probably good for the planet. We're not totally against solar. I've got solar on the 3 houses that are on my property to try and reduce the use of, coal-fired generation. But look, it is not going to work. We cannot rely solely on wind and sun to power us. With these huge battery storages, we have got to have some other form of generation to give us a base load, whether it be nuclear, whether it be another clean, green, coal-fired power station or something like that. We have got to have base load power for the use of a night time.
Now, there are, 3,000 people at this rally. What does the size of the crowd tell you?
The size of the crowd tells me there is a lot of concern about the way this Australian federal government is pushing the renewable infrastructure on agricultural land, also out in the ocean where they're wanting to put these wind turbines out in the sea off the New South Wales coast. So there are a lot of people concerned about it, from the fishing industry, from the tourism industry, and it is just a great concern all over for everyone involved in agriculture, whether it be farming, fishing, horticulture. They're all concerned about the impact that this is going to have on the viability of Australia.
Kevin Tunga, it's a different Australia than the one I grew up with, that wide brown land idea, land of sweeping ranges, every one of them now to be dotted with a damn wind turbine that you can see from miles and miles away. I mean, it's just really appalling what this is doing to the landscape. Save the planet, ruin the landscape. All the best to you and everyone there in your crusade against these things.
Thank you, Andrew. Thanks for taking me to give you an insight into what we feel in the northwest of New South Wales. And, it is really a blight on our country that Mr Albanese and Mr Bowen are not listening to the people.